Hello everyone and welcome to another 10-minute Christmas card video. Today we're going to try something that I have never tried before, so I really don't know if it's going to work. It ended up that it did work, but at this time when I'm videoing this, I did not know if it would work or not. I'm going to be taking patterned paper and using it in the Joseph's coat technique instead of ink blending underneath the embossing. So I've got the Stampers Anonymous Bold Tidings 2 stamp set. So you want some kind of stamps that have a lot of open space. You want the open space so that the pattern paper shows through underneath. So then I've also got that Penny Black Holly stamp. So I'm placing those on in my MISTI. And I'm going to stamp those and then emboss them in clear. So I'm inking these up in Versamark ink, which is just a clear, sticky ink. And I forgot to use my embossing buddy, the powder tool, on my paper first, but it actually turned out okay, and we were all right. But I highly encourage you to use an embossing buddy first and get a powder tool on there to help make sure that you don't have any embossing powder where you don't want it. So now I'm just pouring some clear embossing powder over it. I'm using an extra fine, and then I'm just going to heat set that. I never get tired of watching embossing powder melt. It's highly enjoyable to watch. Alright, and now I am taking my Gina K black ink, and I'm just going over the whole thing with black ink. So whatever is heat embossed with that clear will resist the ink. I did discover that it is better to use pattern paper that doesn't have quite as much of a bold pattern as this one does. This one's a little bit dark, and the black ink, even after a couple layers, didn't completely cover it. You can still see the pattern through the black ink, but I was okay with that. I dealt with it. But maybe a softer pattern, or a white cardstock, like a white pattern paper with a pattern on it, might be better than what I used, but I still thought it turned out pretty cool. So I'm just using the lid of the container so I don't get my fingerprints all over that. I do that quite often and it works really well. So once everything is all inked up, I just take a microfiber cloth and just kind of buff off wherever I did the embossing, and it just resists the ink and kind of comes back to life. So then to finish this card, I just added some red bling from the dollar store. I just added that as the berries on the holly. And then I decided to add some Nouveau crystal glaze onto all of the wording and, well, everywhere that there was heat embossing, just to give it this domed, really shiny kind of effect. It almost has like a stained glass effect. I really love this stuff. So it takes quite a long time to dry, but it is really, really worth it. Sorry that my big fat head is in the way. Had to be right on top of it, kind of, because I wanted to make sure that I stayed in the lines as much as possible, which means you get to see all my gray hairs. So I added the crystal glaze to everywhere that I stamped, and then actually left it overnight to dry before I touched it, just so I was sure it was dry and I didn't muck it up. And this is before it's dry. But look at that dimension, isn't that great? That's how it dries. And then for my next card, I'm going in with the Bold Tidings 1 stamp set, just on some pattern paper. And just doing the same process, stamping it out in Versamark ink, and then I'll be embossing it with clear. So then I just heat set this. It's harder to see on the white background, but it is heat set now. And then for this one, I took a Distress Oxide in Rustic Wilderness and went over the whole top of it with that. Again, you can see part of the background, but I was okay with that. I still thought it looked quite cool. And then again, I just took a microfiber cloth and went over, and it really makes the embossing pop again after you wipe off that excess ink from it. And then I backed it on a piece of red cardstock and put it on a card. All right, thank you so much for watching. Have a beautiful day. I will see you again very soon. Bye.